Hello, parents. I'm excited to be able to explain a little bit to you about an activity that kids are going to be doing at home, and they're going to need your help with it. It's such a great way to get involved in listening to your child read and really encourage their reading at home. So one thing that we talked about at parent-teacher conferences and that the kids are continuing to work on is their reading fluency. And I thought I'd share with you this checklist. This is something that we've been using in class all year long. When we talk about fluency, we talk about how there are 5 different components of fluency. One of them is accuracy, reading every word correctly, all parts of the word, not leaving off endings of words. Reading with expression, not reading like a robot, and really making those characters and the story come to life with expression. Paying attention to punctuation, pausing in appropriate places, using punctuation marks to guide that. Pace is a big one, not reading too fast and also not reading too slow. The goal here is that they can read at a natural pace, that their reading sounds just like they're talking. So for some kids, it's forcing themselves to slow down, which in turn should help their accuracy. For some kids, it is kind of pushing that speed up a little bit. But be careful as when you help your child to not tell them to read fast. That is not the goal here. It is to read at a natural pace where they are able to read accurately with expression and pay attention to punctuation. And the goal, of course, is always that when all of these things happen, that students are able to comprehend what they're reading. They can understand what's happening in the story, and they're ultimately able to learn as they read. So these are some of the things that we talk about in class. This is language that the kids are familiar with. So as you're reading with your child and as you're talking about fluency, these can be great things that you can mention to your child and encourage them to do. So I will be sharing stories periodically throughout the week. These are fluency passages, and you can see that they're very short. This is a complete passage here. So the way this works is you're going to sit down with your child, and you can just pull this up on a computer screen. If you have the ability to print and you want to print, you can, but it is not required. So you're going to have this pulled up, and you're going to have your child read the story. As they read, keep track of what they're reading and how they're reading it. If they make a mistake, if they read a word incorrectly, just make a note of it. Don't stop your child. The idea is that once they start reading, they read this passage completely through for 1 minute. So you might want to have your cell phone ready. I usually set a timer on my phone for 1 minute. I tell them to begin. They'll read. If they get stuck on a word and they really can't figure it out, you're welcome to help them, but give them a couple seconds to try to break apart a word and figure it out on their own. When the 1 minute is over, you and your child can go over any mistakes that they made. So you might say like, hey, I noticed that you skipped this word, you left it out. Or I noticed instead of saying anyone, you said anybody. You can explain some of those little mistakes. It's good for them to notice those and to have those pointed out so that they can correct those. Then together, you and your child can count how many words they read correctly. So if they read the word anyone incorrectly, that word does not get counted. So you're only counting correct words. So you'll go ahead, count through. And let's say they read 96 words correct the first time through. Okay, so you celebrate that with your child, and that's called a cold read, where they have that passage put in front of them. They've never seen it before, they've never practiced it before, and they read it cold. Now, you're going to have your child read a second time, and this is called a hot read, because now they have seen those words, and if there were any words they didn't know the first time, you've now helped them with that, and the goal here is now they should be able to read the passage more fluently. There's a lot of great research that shows that repeated readings or multiple readings can really improve reading rate or their pace. And where a lot of our students are right now, they're great, accurate readers, and they're just needing to edge up that pace a little bit to get to that natural speaking level. So you're going to read this again, or your child will read it again to you. Again, keep track of any mistakes. Set the timer for 1 minute. When the timer goes off, go over those mistakes and then count again how many words they read correct the second time. The hope is that they will read more words correct the second time than they did the first time. Okay. Once you are done with that, this is where you can have a little fun with your child. You're going to pull up this graph and you're going to fill in the words per minute for your child for their hot and cold readings. So here's an example that I have. I just thought it would be kind of nice if you're going to color code it for this graph, that maybe the first read, the cold read, is blue. And the second read, the hot read, is red. So let's just pretend that you read with your child, and let's say they read 150 words correct. Now, I did not do individual increments here, so you're welcome just to round up or round down. If it was 154 words per minute, you're welcome just to round up to 155. Okay, so you'll go ahead and highlight that column to the correct spot based on how many words they had. And then you can go up here to fill color. Again, I'm going to choose to do blue for the cold read. And then after your child reads the second time and you count up their correct words, you're going to fill that in. Again, let's say now they've gone up to 165 words per minute. That would be pretty awesome. We'll say right in here. Again, I'm going to highlight that column. I'm going to do my best here. There we go. And then you can color code that red. Okay. And the idea here is that you start to see that your child's reading fluency, their rate, is increasing every time you read. So you'll just add to this graph each time you do this activity with your child. I also wanted to point out that the reason why I highlighted 120 all the way across is that is our cut score. That is the goal for the kids, is to get to 120 words per minute. So if your child is above and beyond that, that's great. Be careful encouraging them to read a whole lot faster than that, because we don't want their accuracy to start to slip. But if your child is below that 120 line, we really want to keep practicing with these repeated readings to improve their rate. Again, not wanting them to read fast, but to increase their rate to read at a natural speed and a natural pace. So this is just an example of what you're hoping to see. There are tabs down here on the bottom where you can click off of my example and you can do your child's specific numbers. So my hope is that you as a family can read, or you can read with your child twice a week and do this hot cold reading. By all means, you're welcome to do it more. It surely won't hurt to have them read that extra time. But it's really fun to read one-on-one with your child. And it's amazing in the 2 1-minute reads that you see them do, how much you'll get to know them as a reader, how you'll see if they are accurate readers, if they have an appropriate rate, if they read with expression. It's a really, really great way to help your child at home with their reading. So I really appreciate your support with this. I look forward to keeping track of these graphs and watching to see how they grow as readers at home with your support. Thank you so much, parents.